Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer and welcome to Best Kept Plans. Today's video is going to be a reading wrap up for the month of June 2022. If you're interested in seeing that, please stick around. Okay, so I want to preface this video with saying a couple of things. Number one, this is the only time I have to film this, which is usually what happens when I'm filming these videos, and someone is getting something delivered on my street. The Prime truck sounded like it was squawking, but I'm hoping the noise is behind us. So that's number one. Number two, I am trying something a little bit different with my filming setup. Usually I film on my phone and I usually have it facing me. That way I can kind of see where I'm in frame. But I did see something online where you can use your Apple Watch to basically like be a monitor for yourself, because the like rear facing camera, I guess it's called, is better quality. So I'm trying that and seeing how it works out. As I said in the intro, this is my June 2022 reading wrap up. I have to say it's going to be a short video. I don't have a ton of books to share with you. May was such an incredible reading month for me. June had some struggles, that's for sure. I do want to start out with actually talking about a book that I read at the end of May. I'm pretty positive I didn't share this in my May wrap up. I think that I read this book like the last couple days of May, and I also think I filmed my May wrap-up video a little early, so I don't think I shared every summer after. I had seen this a lot on Instagram, and I don't know that I've seen it a ton on YouTube yet or BookTube yet, but I had heard it was very similar to Love in Other Words, which if you've watched my channel before, you know is like, I love that book. It was a 5-star read for me. So I ended up giving this a try and I actually really liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's not quite up to the level of Love in Other Words, but did I say Love in Other Words or Love in Other Drugs in the beginning? That was a movie. Anyways, I still really liked it a lot, gave it 4.5 stars. So I wanted to comment on that. Moving into the books that I actually read in June, the first book that I picked up is something that I recently purchased that I've been wanting to pick up because I knew that it was being made into a film. I did talk about this in my like mid-year recap. So if you've seen that video, you already know that I read this book and love this book, and I can definitely put that recap up here as well. And that's Where the Crawdads Sing. I absolutely fell in love with this book. It lived up to the hype, and that's something that I talk about a lot or think about a lot when I'm reading books. There's a lot of hype sometimes, and a lot of times books don't live up to it, and that can be really, really disappointing or dissatisfying. This was not that kind of situation. This book lived up to the hype 100%. I absolutely loved it, and I think everyone should read it. Oh, I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read is something that was part of my Instagram challenge. I've talked about my Instagram challenge a lot here on YouTube. Basically, I put out on my stories on Instagram that I was looking for book recommendations, and I created a spread in my reading journal. This is my Archinola B. Harris reading journal, and I created a spread in here where basically every month I have a book that was recommended to me by someone on Instagram. So here's the spread here. I'm hoping it's like in frame, you can kind of see it. And I kept up with it for April and May. The book for June was Will by Will Smith. I was very hesitant and nervous to read this one because I am not really into nonfiction. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it. I did end up picking it up. It didn't actually take me that long to get through. And the main reason why it didn't is because I basically found like a bootleg version of the audiobook on YouTube and I listened to it. I think if I had to like actually read it, it would have taken me a lot longer, but because I was able to listen to it, I got through it pretty quickly. It just wasn't for me. it really just wasn't for me. It was a very like memoir style, like beginning of my life through to now type of nonfiction, and I'm just not a huge fan of that style. So I ended up giving this 2 stars. It's just not for me. That's, you know, I don't want to bash on it. Like, I think Will Smith has a really interesting story, and I think that he's achieved a lot, but it just wasn't my style of book. Next, I wanted to bop into something that was like very easy, simple, light and fluffy, that I was pretty sure I would enjoy. And so I ended up picking Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. So I felt when I saw this at the bookstore like it was something that was probably friends to lovers. And I've just realized that I think I really like that trope. I love In Other Words, I love the cheat sheet. I read the Every Summer After book, which had that same trope. And so I was very interested in reading this because I felt like it was going to be that trope, and I thought I would really like it. And as it turns out, I did. I did really like this. I thought it was just cute. It was cute. It was a fun read. I liked the characters. I liked the way that their relationship evolved. I thought it had some twists and turns that were a little bit unexpected for like a classic kind of romance situation, but I really enjoyed it. And I know I had said in my reading wrap up for like my mid-year wrap up that I gave it 4 stars, but I actually ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars because I did really like it a lot. Next, we have a book that I don't actually have with me. One of my colleagues lent it to me, and so I've already given it back to her, but I'll try to stick a picture over here, and that's The Alice Network. We have a book club at work. We kind of try to read a book every few months. I think we're gonna go back and forth between like a nonfiction and a fiction. So this is our second book that we've read. We picked a fiction book, we picked The Alice Network, and I definitely thought it would be something that I would really enjoy. My colleague who lent it to me kind of gave me a little bit of a hint of what it was about, and it just reminded me of, well, it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Nightingale, and so I thought I would really like it because I really liked The Nightingale. That was a 5-star read for me, and I didn't dislike The Alice Network. I actually liked it a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but that book took me so long to get through, and I'm not exactly sure why. Like, the story was interesting to me, and I ended up really overall very much liking the book, but for some reason it was just like really hard to get through in the moment. It took me like close to 2 weeks to read, I think, which is wild because it's long. It's 560 pages, but I was not anticipating it was going to take me that long to read it. What I will say is that it's told in 2 different timelines. There was definitely a timeline that I really, really enjoyed that was like very intriguing to me. And I think that when I would bop into the other timeline, it was just like a little harder for me to kind of dive in and get sucked in and want to keep reading. So 4 out of 5 stars, did like it, just took me forever to get through, which is part of why I didn't get to read a lot of books this month. Between Will, which didn't necessarily take me super long, but just like dragged for me, and then this one, which did take me a really long time to read, I did not get to a lot of books. The second to last book we're going to talk about is something that was on my TBR for June. It was also, I think, on my TBR for May. I've been wanting to get to this book for a while. I've heard really great things about it, both on Instagram and on BookTube. So I had high hopes for it. It is fantasy, which I haven't read in a really long time and I was kind of nervous for, and that is The Atlas 6. So I was really intrigued to pick this up, but I was also very nervous because it's fantasy and I don't exactly know how I feel about fantasy, but I picked it up. It definitely took me a little bit to get to in the beginning. I think I just didn't quite get it at first, and then I started realizing, oh, they're introducing 6 people. They're introducing the Atlas 6. It's 6 people. Once I got further into it, it definitely kept me interested. There are a lot of very out there concepts in the book, which can be kind of hard to grasp, but I overall really enjoyed it. It was definitely very interesting to me. I kind of felt like the person involved that we didn't know was involved kind of halfway through, probably, or maybe yeah, maybe like 2/3 through, but I didn't at all predict like how he was involved or what exactly ended up happening. So it was definitely interesting. It's definitely left like on a cliffhanger. So this is clearly going to be a series. I don't know how long the author's planning on making the series, but I'm definitely very interested for the second book. And I did look it up, and I think it comes out in the fall. I want to say October, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm remembering that correctly. I ended up giving this 4.5 stars. I really did enjoy it. It made me catch the bug a little bit, and I definitely want to read. Like, I wish the second book was out already, because I would definitely have jumped right into it. The last book that I wanted to talk about is what I'm actually reading right now. So I'm filming this video on the 28th, so there are a couple days left in the month, and I should be able to finish this book. I'm about halfway through right now. Let's see, I'm almost 200 pages into this one, and that's Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. And I'm just realizing now that I'm reading 2 Christina Laurens this month, which is really interesting. So this was in that mid-year wrap up or mid-year recap video. It was a book that that's out already and I want to read. I just kept seeing this at the bookstore. I thought the cover was so pretty. It gave me summer vibes, and so I really wanted to read it this summer. So I ended up just picking it up at the store and deciding to bop into it. After reading the LS6, I felt like hopping into a romance was the easiest way for me to be able to squeeze one more book in before the end of the month. So I ended up starting this yesterday. I'm halfway through. I think I should be able to finish it tomorrow on the 29th. And then, I'll probably start something on the 30th, but I won't be able to finish that until we're into July. So this will definitely be the last book I read this month. It's good. It is very out there. Like, it is very out there. Much more out there than like most of Christina Lauren's books. Like, their books I feel like are obviously romance, and they have like cutesy elements to them, and sometimes like the concept is a little okay, but it's like based in reality or like grounded in reality. This one is a little bit more out there, I would say, and but I'm still enjoying it. It's just definitely more out there. Not sure how I'm gonna end up rating this one, but so far I'm enjoying it. I do like the main 2 characters, so we'll see what happens with this one. And that is actually it for my June recap, my June reading wrap up. Again, I only got to read 6 books this month. It definitely was a slower reading month for me. I haven't even thought about what books I want to read next month. I'm hoping to film a TBR video for July, but I really have to look at my books and see what I have. I have a 1 book that I know I want to try to get to soon, but yeah, I have no idea when I want to try to read next month. I did see in my TBR that I wanted to get into the second Game of Thrones book, but I don't know that I'm feeling that pull towards that book right now anymore. So I'm actually not planning on reading it in July. We'll see if maybe I get into it in August, or maybe I'll hold on to it for the fall when I'm spending more time indoors. But yeah, so we'll see where July takes me. I just hope July is a better reading month for me than June was. If you have any comments or questions about the books that I shared in this video, please do not hesitate to put them down below. If you have any suggestions for me, I'm always open to suggestions. I actually did fill in the entirety of my Instagram challenge for the rest of 2022. So I have a book that I'm going to read each month through the end of December, but I'm always looking for recommendations just for books to read in general. So definitely leave me some if you have any. And as always, everyone, please be safe. Bye-bye.